Hey guys, this is Will over at MCG Tech Talk, and today I'm going to talk about the Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11E. It's got a big name. It's a tiny little guy. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. It's 11 inches of 2-in-1 goodness. It's really heavy. It's 3.75 pounds. There's been quite a few iterations of these. I've been working on these things ever since they just came with full SATA. Nowadays, you can find them with M2 drives in them, which are really nice. So that saves on space, and I believe it gives them the battery to be a little bigger. It's a good laptop. I actually really like working on this thing. It's a 2-in-1. So you get your laptop. You get something like this. You can do a tent configuration. So you can set it up like this to do stuff if you got a pen. You can also go full tablet mode, and all this stuff stops working when you hold it. When it's in tablet mode, it's nice because of the bezels. I don't like bezel-less. It's fancy to look at, but when holding this thing, especially because it's just shy of 4 pounds, I'd like to be able to have a good grip on it. And with the big old bezels, I'm able to hold on to it without going in and accidentally touching the screen and stuff like that. It's got Gorilla Glass on it, so it's going to be nice and sturdy. There are a couple things wrong with the screen. One of them it being that it's not 1080. Since it's 1366 by 768, that is the devil number. I don't know why. I've been seeing that resolution for like the last 10 years in laptops. Like, maybe just go full 1080p and just call it a day. No, this thing's got to have such a crappy little screen. For 11 inches, I could almost allow it, but since you'll see now two $300 Android tablets now that are like 2K, it seems like such a waste. I know they're trying to cut corners and everything, and this thing you can generally buy for under $400. If this thing had 1080p at least, I'd probably use this as my main computer. I know I could go out with it with HDMI on the side, but without it, it's an okay laptop now. The insides are really easy to get to. There's only 7 screws on the back to be able to get to it. I don't know if you were able to see them, but there's some here, and then there's some up here. I see this as a tech, when I look at this as a tech, not as a consumer. And one thing that I hate is when you get into a laptop, or you need to, or something you want to upgrade the RAM or the hard drive or something to that effect. A lot of times you gotta like pop things off and go down, and there's the Inspiron brands, the Dells, the 1545s, you got to take out the motherboard to get to the hard drive and RAM, which is pretty terrible. It sucks having to take across 1.5 million screws just to add some RAM. With this, you pop the 7 screws. I've popped 6 of them. And you can get to like 90% of it, which is really nice. You only need these 2 things. You need a screwdriver and something thin. So, if we pop it open, like so, if it comes out, we need to unscrew some more screws. Yep, gotta get those out. Get a nice piece of metal. It's flimsy, but it doesn't bend, which is nice. And then here you can see how it's like 90% battery. The whole thing down here is battery. Here's the RAM slot. It only has the 1, so if you want to go up to the max of 8, you're actually going to have to buy an 8 gig stick instead of 2 4s, which I have inadvertently tried to do 2 4s, which is not fun when you're purchasing that. The storage is actually under this little thing here. This fancy little thing right here is the M2 drive, which is real nice because it's faster. I don't know. I couldn't find out if this uses the SATA interface or like a PCI, but it's M2, so it's going to be better than SATA 3. You have all of the letters right here, A, B, G, N for Wi-Fi. It's got two little Wi-Fi cables that go up around the screen, which is nice. I've seen some laptops that only have one, which is a little disappointing. The fan is easy enough to get to, and this thing's actually really quiet. I mean, when it kicks on, and it'll kick on high, and then you can hear it. But even when it's just idling, it'll just shut itself off. The power management's pretty nice. Battery could be a little better. It would be nice if this big, monstrous brick, something you see out of like a sci-fi film. It'd be nice if this lasted for 10 hours, which if you were to bring your brightness down to 0 and then don't do a whole lot on it, you probably could. Maybe, but about 6 hours of use. So if you're in a class or something and you're typing out notes, this is going to be great. Getting to the Cmos battery is really good. Again, as a tech, all of this stuff readily available is super nice. If there's some sort of problem or something like that, I can pop the battery real easily. I can add a bigger drive. I don't have to take out fans and motherboards to get to. Here is where the video cable is. So sometimes reseating these things, I know in the past, my own personal experience of fixing computers, sometimes it just gets a little loose. You pop it off, pop it in. Boom, done. All of this stuff here is super awesome. There are 2 screws underneath here to be able to get to the keyboard. So if we pop, got one little baby screw. It doesn't want to come off. There we go. And then we've got another one over here. And then in which case you can just open it. And then let's see if I can do this one-handed. Oh, just get it down. Start popping it. Go down. Get it here. Oh, look, this already came out. Boom. Super easy. Some laptops, the palm rest is all integrated into it, and you can't replace the keyboard. If you want to, you have to replace the whole thing. So that's like $100. This, if you spill a drink on it or something, or one key just stops working or one section stops working, you don't have to spend $150 just to get it working again, which is super nice. A couple other little ribbon cables here. Don't go to different things. It is really heavy. It's kind of tough to use on a regular basis in one hand. So if you're hoping to just kind of sit and surf the internet for 12-15 hours on this thing, you're going to be in for a bad time. I actually really like using this thing to read comics because I could full Windows, download CD Display EX, get my comics on there, throw it over, plop it on my belly, lay on the couch, and just read comics. It'd be nicer if it was 1080p, but for doing little piddly stuff, I really enjoy this thing. If you have notes that you want to take with something super sturdy, this is going to be a great little laptop for you. It's an okay laptop. If it had 1080p, it'd be the best little guy ever. Another thing that I like about this Lenovo is the connectivity on the sides, all the little extra ports and stuff. When you look at a laptop that you want to use and you want to actually, you know what you're doing, so Wi-Fi is okay. If you like Mac Airs and stuff like that, and you always connect to Wi-Fi, then some of these things might not be good for you. But with the fact that it's got Ethernet port on the side right here, I really like that. But again, as a tech, plugging that in and getting that over, connecting to congested wireless is going to be a lot better. There's 2 USB 3 ports here and over here. This one actually will charge devices as well. The connector is okay. I wish it wasn't so big. I think I'd prefer a barrel plug. I don't know. It's kind of tough to see in there, but there's like a big post that I have seen broken off quite a few times. Anything that just sits out in the center and hopes for the best is going to break. But I see a lot of these broken, and it's not the easiest thing to replace on these things. Fingerprints and stuff can get on it. If you're drinking a drink, you put it down, you touch something, it might be kind of hard to get off. You might need to really rub it out. The power button's sunken in a little bit, and it seems like I have to hold it down. Just like it doesn't feel like good enough, but I'm pretty sure that's design philosophy. They don't want you accidentally hitting it. It does have volume up and down on the side, so that way if you're in tablet mode, you don't have to go to Windows 10 and go through all those little places to get to it. But if this thing had a 1080p screen on it, I would probably recommend this to pretty much everybody, because most people nowadays, all they need is to connect to the internet, surf Facebook, watch the YouTubes, Netflix, and things like that. So they don't need a full-size laptop. Even all of our pictures nowadays are stored up in iCloud or in Google Drive or somewhere like that, which, if you don't need anything super powerful, this is going to be great. But since it can't even do 1080p, it's going to feel a little lacking. Everything's going to be a little squished if you're watching stuff, or if you're trying to browse the web, or you're trying to take a lot of notes, it could get a little rough. I don't have the Lenovo pen to be able to write. Like if I was wanting to put it in this mode and like write on it, but I have terrible writing anyway, so it's always better just to use the keyboard. The touchscreen on this does feel real good. It's got 10 points of touch, which had always felt really accurate, even from just a base Windows installation, without any fancy Lenovo official drivers or things like that, because that's the first thing I do when I get a computer, so I just nuke it and then start over. But that's how I roll. The processor is a Intel Celeron N3150. It's only 1.6 gigahertz, which is itty bitty. But if you're trying to game on this thing, you're not going to have a very good time. Obviously, there's multiple configurations, and if you want to get, the super, like, I think it comes with an i5, like 8 gigs of RAM, put a 512 M2 drive in it, you're more than welcome to, but I don't really think that it's worth it. If it had a 1080p screen, sure, let's just do it all. But if grandma needs somebody or something to be able to browse the internet, surf the Facebooks, and check on the grandbabies, this thing's going to be great. And since it's super, super durable, you're not going to break it. So if you put it in your bag, run around with it, it's hitting around, like it feels real solid, which is always a very good thing. And since this is they've hit something with this one, because they have had quite a few different iterations. Like I said, I've seen them with SATA drives, and now they have M2s, and now it looks like they're trying to make them a little thinner. I really like these. For less than $400, they're pretty good. But I really wish it had a 1080p screen. We've had a few of these that we've sold that people have loved, but the screen being so squished out at 11 inches. I mean, phones nowadays are sitting at like 4K. I don't know why they can't do it with this thing here. Excuse me. All in all, if I had to give this a rating, I'd give it a good out of 10, which is really, really fair. I like this thing. I'm going to probably continue reading comics and surfing Reddit on it. But man, I really wish it had a 1080p screen on it. I really do. It would be a great little laptop if it did. Bye.